Oh wait, I lost the script.
I have it. It's right here. It's not up for you?
No, it's not.
Okay.
Where's you got it?
All right.
Go ahead.
Oh,
It's
we're
you.
recording?
Yeah.
I was waiting for the countdown again. Okay, okay, okay. All right.
All right. We good. We good.
Welcome to the idea of where we explore the noise, the nuance, and everything in between. I'm Bassey,
And I'm Mike.
and this is a space where culture, creativity, and conversation collide. Let's go.
Let's rock. Bossy, what's going on?
Yes,
I feel
sir.
like we haven't talked in a minute.
No, not even like the in between stuff. There's been a lot going on. I
Yeah.
hurt my knee. All that slick talk about my knees are great. I have great knees. I don't know what y'all are talking about. I hurt my knee, and I hope to God it's not like a permanent thing. But
Oh.
it's my fault. I do too
Were
much.
you working? Were you working out, or were you like dropping it low?
Look, no, I was not. Um,
I don't know.
I'm super impressionable. So I don't know
Oh
on your
God.
on your on your for you page on TikTok if you're getting
Oh.
like the weighted vests. Are you getting are you getting the weighted vest?
No. What are you talking?
Okay, so the weighted vest is
Oh my
it's
God.
literally a vest that you put on that it's weighted and it's all over my for you page and it's like, cut your workouts in half. And I walk for like an hour and I hate it. I am not a I like to dance, I like to box, I like to do stuff, but I can't really do that right now. So I was like, I'm walking, I'm listening to podcasts. It's just I feel like I'm wasting time. It's like I'm wasting time. It's the same way I feel like on like a treadmill or like a bike. It's like wasting time. So they're like, "Oh, cut your workout in half with the weighted vest." I was like, "Oh, so I'll walk 30 minutes instead of an hour, and I still get the same benefits."
Uh huh.
So I get one. I get the 8 pound at first, and I'm like, "This is too light. I'm gonna what are you talking about? I don't do this. What are you
Poor.
talking about? 8 pounds." So I return it because, and number one, it was designed specifically for women, which is why it's so fucking light. And so it like the way that you wear it, it just fits better, right? So I was like, 8 pounds, whatever. Return that, get a 12 pounds, and I put that on. I was like,
Oh
still,
my God. Yo, what
no,
is
but
happening?
listen. I was like, still, it's not quite doing it. Return that one, get 16 pounds. And the thing is, too, is like I'm smaller built.
Yeah.
So the one that I had, relax, the one that I got, it snaps here and then it snaps down here. But because I'm like not wide,
Hmm.
it just wasn't, it just fit like a,
It was like bouncing. It was
it
like
was
friction.
bouncing. Exactly.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
wasn't
Yeah.
whatever. So I had to like hold it together as I'm walking. And
What's happening?
doing that made it like 32 pounds. Like it made it heavier somehow.
Mm.
And so I'm walking. I walk for like about an hour because I'm stupid. I walk for an hour still, and all of a sudden I'm like, my knee is my knee's feeling away.
My knee is crippling under the pressure of another man on my back.
It's feeling away. It's feeling away, and I'm like, let's tough it out. Keep going. I'm walking. I'm walking. I get far enough away from my house where it's like, oh shit, oh damn, I gotta turn
Oh,
around and go back. And
oh
by the
no.
time I got back, like my knee was stiff. Like
Oh.
it just I think that again because I was holding it the way that I was, it put more like weight on one side than the other.
Hmm.
And my knee's been fucked up ever since. It's just been like stiff and hurting. I had a brace on it, and then last night I got the bright idea to do a heating pad, and that's been helping tremendously, but it's still stiff. So like I'm sitting here with my knee cocked up because it's like if I it's gonna be super stiff. So yeah,
Wow.
that's my
Yeah. That stay off your for you page.
high key though. I still think it wasn't. I feel like the
Okay.
weight was fine. I feel like the weight was fine. If it fit me properly and it was evenly distributed, I would have
Mm.
been okay.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
It was
Oh
the
yeah.
fact that I had to hold it and I wasn't holding it. I would have been fine. It
An
was
an an hour is a long ass time to be
it.
walking with 5 extra pounds. Are
Yeah.
you crazy? 30 pounds, or let's say
It was
let's say a good 20. You had an extra 20 pounds based on how it was distributed.
yeah. It was not the best idea that I had. It was a good idea. I just didn't execute it properly.
Mm,
Again, I feel like if I could find one that fit properly, I'd be good, but they just
mm.
don't make them. The
Yeah,
higher they get, the bigger that they are, which is
the 10 pound one fit properly. That's the one.
the 8 pound one fit
The 8 pound.
perfect. But it
That's
was
what you
too light. I didn't feel like anything. I was just like, what is this?
do.
What
You
kind of
run
weight is
though?
this?
Are you a runner? Like run
No, no,
outside?
no. I hate running.
You don't like running?
I don't like running.
Yeah.
I was a track. I did track, um, like middle school and the beginning of freshman year of high school, but I don't like training. I just like doing.
Mm,
Like, why am
yeah.
they gotta put a parachute on me? I gotta no. I just want to take me to the goddamn
To the track.
to the track so I can beat people. I made the Hershey's track meet when I was in the seventh grade, but I couldn't go because I was in Oklahoma in the
Um,
seventh grade. My parents were like, "What are you talking about?" No,
yeah.
so I
Yeah.
couldn't
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I just like to run. I don't like, or
I
I
love.
used to like to run. I don't like to just run without winning things. I like to win things. That's why I like boxing because I get to the numbers go up or I hit somebody. I've never hit anybody. Let me build
When you box like with an app or like with the
with an app.
trainer.
With an
Oh,
app.
okay. Okay.
With an app.
Okay.
I've only done a trainer once, and the thing is, I am not that small. Let me just put that out there. But people make me feel mad small because, like, why aren't you being knocked out? Like, why aren't you falling?
Wait.
I'm pretty
What?
strong, I think.
When you say why aren't you being knocked out? Are you like sparring with people? With people?
On the app, I am because I do the VR.
Oh,
So
on
on
the
the app, I am. But the one time that I was training, okay, here's another thing about me. I like to just know it. So with the whole path thing was like 1, 2, 3, 4. I was like, come on, like just let me internalize this and do it. I don't like missing. I just like to do things and win. Like that's just
that's the that's the title of the
picking it up.
episode.
Yeah. I
Do things and
just
win.
like to do things and win.
But so last week for our listeners, we didn't do it again. But if you made it through our intro, we're always encouraging folks to share the podcast. I think that um, sharing the podcast, of course, is partially self-serving because we want people to hear us, but also, in all seriousness, like um, we do this podcast because we believe in it. We believe in our content, and we want people to not only hear what we have to say, but to engage with us. So we're asking folks to share the podcast, to email us, hit us up on Twitter, Blue Sky, wherever you are, we're there. And we just want to be able to shout out our listeners. You know what, Bassey is crazy. After our last episode, I think it was like prom something, I can't remember, the one about prom.
Mm.
And we were talking about, oh, no, or was it my episode? Excuse me, y'all. But I was talking about an article or a Facebook post I interacted with during COVID 3, 4, 5 years ago. And it was the quote about black men are the white men to black people. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
It was a thing, right? It was a
Uh,
whole thing.
uh, I know Rod said it, but Damon Young wrote a whole article about it a couple years.
Exactly. I engaged with Damon's post on Facebook. And in the last episode, I was saying like how enraged I was, and like it really, like, it was probably one of the only social media posts that I engaged with that like enraged me. And I was angry as hell.
Mm.
And I talked through that in the last episode, but I was at my computer after the episode published. I was on my computer and I saw a comment come in, and I could see like, you got a new comment. And I was reading the preview of it, and it said, hey, actually, that was Rod from the Black Guy Who Tips. I was like, what? Yo, that's crazy. But I, I can't find the comment. I just saw it on the notification, but
Oh,
it didn't go anywhere. Like it's not on the Spotify, it's not on iTunes or on the Apple Podcast.
they
The
might have deleted it.
That's what I was wondering. Like, did they delete it, or did when I was trying to read it, did I delete it by mistake?
Oh,
But I was so mad because I could tell that it was like 4 or 5 sentences, and I don't know if Rod commented or it's
you would have
someone else.
told me if you commented.
Oh, okay, okay.
No,
But yeah, I
but
was like,
Rod said it first,
mm-hmm.
and then Damon. I don't know if Damon heard it, read it. I don't know,
Gave
but
him credit for it or whatever.
he
Yeah.
ended up writing about it. There's something I need to tell you offline. But he ended up writing about it, and so I mean, Rod was like the heat was on him. So because they went nuts. So
That
did
that
we
was a
talk
moment.
about this?
I
Because
don't think
I would have to push back on your disagreement of that as far as on a macro level. Because I feel like a lot of times I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt, but real quick, I feel like a lot of times because of who you are, you see things on a micro level. Whereas a lot of the conversation is on a macro level because that's what's happening on TikTok right now, where people are coming at Deante. I keep calling him Deante Kyle about what he's been saying, and people are taking it very personally as opposed to looking at it from like a greater lens. Also, people don't know what words mean. That's what I discovered. It's like y'all don't. That's not what that means.
so. Let me ask you this. So okay, so and you could explain this because you're more tapped into TikTok. I saw the beginning of your post. I didn't listen to the whole thing, but I saw the beginning of it, and I was like, "What happened to Deante?" Or with Deante. Then I listened to Deante's last episode, and it sounded like he was responding to folks that were upset about him about pandering or something about pandering. And I've
They
been
call
listening.
him a panderer because he asks black men to protect black women, basically.
Okay. And that's, I mean, and he's always, that's been something that he's been consistently sharing. So I've listened to, most of his episodes now, but definitely all of his recent episodes since we've been recording.
Mm.
And there was nothing that I heard from him that was like like that felt even remotely pan. So I was like, what is he responding to? So all that said, right? Then with the black men or the white men to whatever, the micro, what you just said about micro versus macro and how I process that, I think it was in that exact moment taught me about social media,
Mm.
like that moment 4 years ago, whenever it was, because I am pretty good with, and I actually pride myself in like not being rage baited or not like being reactive or responsive and really trying to understand like, okay, what are they trying to say here, like that, and even through that, in that moment, that comment still sends me a little bit, like it's still, but in the last episode I kind of processed, like I get it, like I understand it's not me and even the close people around me, it's a bigger thing. And but then there's also the idea that I share often about narrative, and that narratives become real if they're repeated enough and if folks feed the narrative. And anyway, all that, long story short, I just did not know that that was Rod who shared that content originally. And
Yeah.
but that was a moment for me, and I since then I will not let anything get me as upset as that got me, because that I was like, why am I so upset? And I
Yeah.
literally had to be like, is it about me? Am I thinking about the people, men in general, like what? But anyway,
Well,
I don't.
I think
Yeah.
one of the I didn't really engage in that when it first came out, but I engaged in this because this was much more this was a better illustration of what that idea is, because what Deante was responding to was the way that people, like black men specifically, were responding to what he said, right? So they were responding like white people. They were like it's not me, and how come? What about everything that you would hear from a white person saying, "I'm not racist. I've got black friends, and here's the proof." Like and not even the proof. Like I'm angry that you would even suggest that I'm racist, rather than trying to understand or internalize why somebody would say that. Like why would somebody say that about you, as opposed to defending yourself from the idea that it could ever be associated with you. So what he was responding to and what I was seeing was black men being angry at him for asking them to hold themselves and other men accountable, or or what I realized, and my sister brought this up, people don't know what words mean. So holding accountable and taking into account are two different things. And
Mm,
we're interchanging them and like getting upset about like certain things. I was like, that's not what that means. That's not what he's saying. And then Deante's Deante, so he just got to the point. He's like, "Fuck it, I'll be that," and he just went full throttle because people just weren't listening to what he
yeah.
was saying. But what I was saying was that this idea and concept of pandering, I don't care, because you're still saying what needs to be said. And you're saying it to other black men. You're not saying it to us to get us on your side, because we're listening in, but we're not really his audience. His audience are I don't want to say hood niggas, but like he's able to spread a message using the language and looking like the people that he's talking to. So it's not like a Mark Lamont Hill where you can dismiss him as, well, he's got a PhD, he's
Yeah.
that guy, and he used to wear suits all the time. He easily dismissed. So Deante, I think, is hitting them where it hurts, because the excuse of I'm not, I didn't, um doesn't fit with him. Like I saw a comment on one of his posts where someone was like, "How do you know you've never been in jail? You never did." And he was like, "I've been in jail 13 times.
Like actually a lot, actually.
13 times. I've arrested or been in jail 13 times. Like what do you like? There's no excuse." And so people are trying very hard to not examine themselves and not understand where this is coming from. But if he is pandering, he's doing it wrong because he's not talking to us. He's talking to people who don't want to listen to him, or he's trying to get them to listen. But number two, I don't care, because I've seen an uptick of black men on my For You page being like, I never thought about it this way. I need to do this. Or I remember my best friend was slapped his girlfriend and I should have stepped, like stuff like that. Like they're really, really talking to each other, which is what we wanted to do. And I actually want to talk to black women. This is not our conversation. Like I've seen so many where these black men are really speaking to what it is that they feel, and how they processed it, and all that. And I see black women, some black women in the comments like, "Oh, it took you this long to get here," or, "Oh, you didn't know that was wrong before." It's like, what do you, how does that help? If anything, that's more, you're telling people not to talk about the process to get where they need to go into understanding, because you want them to have a time machine and go backward and have never done it or done something different. And I've always been a proponent of allowing people to grow, and that doesn't mean they pretend that they never did anything wrong. It's, I acknowledge what I did and I am learning from it, and this is how I do it differently. And jumping into people's comments to, "Black women have been saying this forever and now you're listening." Yes. Like what does that do? How does that help the community move forward in any way?
Yeah. No, I absolutely agree. I think that, man, all of this black man, black woman, the evolution of this conversation, of these conversations, it's like on one level it's exhausting, and on another level it's like, why can't we collectively understand the importance of giving space and allowing things to happen, allowing growth to happen, allowing mistakes to happen, allowing misspeaking to happen, allowing change behavior to happen without placing our voice on the other's experience, or placing our whatever on another's experience. And I really, man, so okay, it's just so it's so many, and I think I don't think it is. I don't think it's content creation, quote unquote. I don't think it's, folks trying to be, what's the word? I don't think it's folks trying to like get their viewership up. I think that there is a real reflective moment collectively happening within the Black community where many Black women are finding a voice and Black men are finding a voice, right? I think the timeline, the timetable of how those voices are being expressed are maybe 5 years apart. Whereas I think that Black women have been saying, so when they pop into the comments, like I've been saying this for years, it's true. Like it's not fake. Like, it's real. And Black men are coming into this realization collectively across so many different areas and need to be given the space to have the conversation alone,
Yeah.
by ourselves, with like humble observation,
Mhm.
right? So it's like, on the surface, it sounds like Black women relax, sit back, like let these niggas talk. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I think it's so important for that space to be honored, or else niggas are gonna do what niggas do, and that's retreat.
Mhm.
And that is continue to have toxic conversations by themselves or not at all and die.
Mhm.
Like I've said since I was a kid, I think we've talked about it on here before. Like, it's clear, it's been clear to me since I was 8 years old why men die why Black men die when they're 65 years old. It's super clear to me.
Mhm.
It's health, it's all this stuff, it's habits and cultural aspects, but I think that Black men die because their secrets kill them.
Mhm.
Like their inner thoughts have nowhere to go, and it goes right to your heart, it goes to your blood pressure, it goes to your brain,
That's what I
and
think
it
about fibroids, but that's my little hotep
for
hotep princess thoughts. But
for real, right? So I mean, I think that like as men are having these awakenings, it's similar to what Black women have been talking about for 5, 10 years, but it is absolutely different.
Mhm.
And it reminded me of the conversation we were having on our last episode before my solo episode about the conversation that I was saying, when my son went through heartbreak and I had to have a conversation and sit down with him, and then like immediately the show Forever that everyone's watching, that conversation that I talked to you about was the exact conversation that was being demonstrated with these two men,
Mhm.
with the boy, the son, and the father, that I've never seen reflected in any media art space ever in my life. But it's just the moment that we're in. It's the time that we're in right now where like, let these niggas cook. Let them cook.
Yeah.
Let them talk. Let them talk. Let them figure it out. Fumble the bag, make mistakes, get corrected by other men, and maybe by everybody. But you know what I'm saying, that we're in a really, it's an awakening kind of,
Yeah.
and I don't want to overstate it, but it's different now. I feel that it's been in the years past.
Yeah, I think that we are in a place now, and I credit the last election to this, because I think that, I don't want to say for the first time, but I saw a lot of Black men very confused by what happened and starting to hear it was because she's a Black woman. Like they would rather have this person who has stated that he wants to destroy this country than a Black woman. And we knew that. Like as Black women, we know what that experience is like. And I think that a lot of Black men are like, a lot of straight Black men, I should say, are like, whoa, let me listen, because we didn't know it was this bad. We didn't know that this country would choose this over that. And I think that we're in a place now where people want to use social media as a tool to connect, but there are a lot of people who want to use it as a tool to pull people apart. Because I have also seen Black women very skeptical of these conversations, and that to me again is the micro, where the men in your life are not genuine, or they're um using whatever to get to a certain point, and so you're suspicious of all men because of that. But I don't think that that's the conversation that's happening now. I see that there is a very, and I might be just optimistic to a fault, but I think that there is a definite renaissance happening now, and I think that there's definitely all of the things that we have wanted to happen have the room to happen now, and we just have to let it happen. And I am not the leader, but I really want to be like, women, stand down. Like
Yeah.
let's just back up. Let these men have this conversation. And I appreciate the fact that when Deante, when the men that I've heard talk about this, they're very inclusive of the fact that we need all of us in order to move forward in any way. We need LGBTQ. We can't do this ADOS or FBA thing where it's African Americans and Africans. Like we need to like have that conversation too.
Yeah.
We have to really like get to it, because I've never seen on this scale online so many people who were about Black liberation and Black communities and figuring out how to do this together. And I
Yeah.
think that's what we need to focus on, instead of letting these Black people who rely on white guilt in order to move, in order to survive, in order to make money. There's so many people on TikTok who make money because white people feel bad,
Mhm.
and so they're not, they're, it doesn't benefit them individually to have these conversations. It benefits them to be antagonistic and anti.
Yeah,
So
for for sure. I mean, the two things I wanted to specifically comment, like I think that I feel like when you talked about the micro versus macro, I think we have to acknowledge that the micro is real, but the micro is also easy,
mhm,
right? It's easy to just look around and be like, oh, that's not me. Like,
mhm,
I didn't do that shit. So, but like on some level, like you have to acknowledge that people have these micro experiences,
mhm,
and that, you know, if your circle is small and if your outlook on life is more narrow, then it is what it is, right? And I think that for people like us that communicate for a living, I think for people like Deante, for people like Rod and Karen, for people that are approaching these conversations with grace, I think we have to be like, we're like the shepherds. And not, this is not like overextended. This is
the
not
shepherds
delusions
of
of,
men.
so it's not delusions of grandeur at all. But like, I think it's, there are, you know, there are people that are tapped to be able to take some of these complex issues. And it's not even complex. It's just like to allow space for these things to happen.
Mhm,
And for people to say, you're not wrong, right? Like that micro view is not wrong. And and he or she has a micro too. that might completely be different than what your micro is.
Yeah.
So how do you take your micro and their micro to make a bigger micro?
Yeah.
And then a bigger and bigger. Now you have to have, it's like data. Like if your data sample is so small, you can't make a grandiose statement about the larger population based on your tiny data sample. So that was one thing. And I think the other thing was like in the, I've definitely seen on a personal level after last week's episode where I specifically was talking about like being a straight man in gay spaces and, you know, my history and trajectory over time of how I maneuvered through that. That was for my friends and family and like people that I know, that was the most commented on episode that we've had.
Oh, really?
Yes, like, and it, you know, not, we didn't get like anything on the Spotify podcast, but like my own personal feed, um, those were the most engaged comments, people liking it, people like just thanking me. I put it on Substack. I got a lot of reaction from it. Um, and I think it's because like that's where we are right now. I think the whole like, oh, they gay shit, like from straight men, right? I think it really is dying down. There's still a lot of ignorance out there, but we're gonna focus on the people that acknowledge that we can't be free collectively until we're all free.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's been fascinating to see since last week.
Well, we also something else that I've seen are these people, men who are working through and working out of the whole manosphere red pill thing, and hearing again, having people like, why would you be that anyway? And but hearing why and hearing how much people want community and how much people want to feel seen. And something
Uh-huh.
that the left does that drives me crazy is it is so exclusionary. They speak about we speak about doing things for the greater good, but we also have these purity tests that people fail. And so when you have a let's use Ellington for example. If he didn't have you and he's dealing with this heartbreak and he gets online and then somebody's like, yeah, women, da 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 da, and he's already like, this particular woman or girl did this to me, and then this other person saying that a girl did that to them, all girls do this. And then they have that conversation and they're welcomed into the fold, and like that's how they get indoctrinated. And I think it's important for us to hear how people get indoctrinated. It's important for us to hear, because people make fun of, and I hate it, they make fun of the male loneliness epidemic like it's a joke. I'm like, no, this is real.
Yeah.
These niggas are 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 conditioned towards loneliness because of the way that we respond to men being vulnerable, and
Yeah.
we respond to men getting it wrong. And yes, you should know better. But if you don't know better, if you're in a position where you are isolated, when you're feeling um, as though you don't belong in your own house, let alone your whole community, who is going to listen to me talk about this?
Yeah.
Who's going to relate to me? And I think also what Deante was saying is that someone needs to counter that. I hear
Yeah.
you, but let me counter that, as opposed to either dismissing them outright and don't want to deal with them, or letting somebody who can just affirm this I don't want to call it weird, but weird um, way of thinking. But I think it all boils down to, for me, and it's always boiled down to who's listening. I've started doing this. I don't know if I spoke about it here, but I've started doing this thing online when, if I like make a comment and then somebody comes at me crazy, like just like the energy's like,
Uh-huh.
I ask, okay, why are you coming at me with this energy? What is it that I said that made you go this way? 9 times out of 10 it's an apology. It's, oh, maybe I didn't understand, or well, I thought you were saying da da da, and I'm like, that's not what I said at all. This is what I'm saying. as opposed to like, oh, well, fuck you too, then let's go. Because I feel like at the end of the day, and I also will never argue with Black people online. That's one thing that
Agreed.
I have decided that is not beneficial to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Either if you what you said piss, unless you're like anti-black person, then I'm like, all right, let's talk about this. But if you're somebody that I just don't agree with, or has like a different opinion because they have a different perspective, I want to talk about that. Because at the end of the day, if we don't understand each other, we can't talk to each other. And if we can't talk to each other, then our hope for the actual Black community um, structure can't exist. There's no way for it to exist.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think that it was something that you mentioned about the manosphere and the loneliness epidemic, right? I saw a post. I saw a post on. I think it was TikTok. I have a love hate relationship with TikTok, and I don't know. I don't know why. It's not the content. It's something about it that's
Algorithm, it's the way that the content shows up, and knowing, and also the fact that everybody's trying to sell you something now. That's funny.
yeah, it's something about the interface is not natural for me. Like I turn it on and I want to see, maybe I could adjust. Like I turn it on, I just want to see people I know. I don't want to see strangers right now. It's too much.
Yeah.
Like I just want to see the people that the however many people I'm following. But it goes to the for you, and that the for you is like based on what I look at or
I gotta tell you something about that in a second.
right.
About that.
So I saw a video about a guy. It was from a black man. You probably saw he had big hair. I just remember he had big hair, glass. I think he might have been British or like had an accent.
Okay.
And he was talking about like here are the 10 reasons why. I don't know if he said black men or just men in general. Here are the reasons why men basically fall into like the red pill community here. And it's like the same thing we're saying.
I think I might have seen that.
You seen that? It's like disconnection, loneliness, wanted to feel a part of something, made to being validated, all these things, right? And I saw that, and I was like, one, this is why I don't watch this shit. Because what are you talking about, bro? Second thing, I was like, this has nothing to do with men. This is just human behavior. Like people join things, people are attracted to communities where they feel seen and heard. Like that's not a man thing. I think the qualification that he wasn't really equipped or didn't use that space to share was what the genderized experience is
Mm-hmm.
that adds or takes away from each of those steps, right? Like he was just saying these blanket statements. Oh, something happens to you and someone welcomes you. Okay. That's a human thing. Like if you feel affected by something or if you're hurt by something and someone shares in your hurt, just like you were saying, someone shares in your hurt, you're like, oh, you understand what I'm saying. But being a man and that happens is slightly different than if a woman experiences that, right? And that is where like the intensity of the red pill community is impacted. So I was just like, it's not enough. It's not enough nuance in this. Like, this is a very complex idea that he's sharing, which wasn't wrong. It was just simplified in a way that made it really easy to be like, this just happens to men. No, it happens to women too.
Well, it
I don't.
it doesn't happen to women the same way that it happens to men. It this is not equal at all. But the same kind of men ain't shit conversation comes from a similar place.
Yeah.
But it's not the same, but it comes from a similar place.
The
And
waiting to exhale generation, like that like when I talk about like men and women being, or black men specifically and black women being kind of like years apart, like that was prime Men Ain't Shit Time, Waiting to Exhale. What was the woman that wrote Terry McMillan?
Yeah.
That time frame. Uh, what's the joint after where she went to Jamaica? Stella got her groove back and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I feel like, yeah, men are having a similar. That this is what it looks like for men. That's what it looks like for women. Again, overgeneralizing, but sorry, go ahead. I interrupted you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I lost my train of thought. I can't remember what exactly I was saying. Well, again, just to pull it back again, like we haven't been speaking to each other, and I think that we're getting to a place now. The same thing that kind of tore us apart, social media, is the same thing that is kind of, hopefully, if done properly, um, is bringing us back together in a way, and that makes me hopeful. Um, but I'm also afraid of COINTELPRO. Like,
Wow. Yeah.
just some people who want to fuck it up
Yeah.
because it's not lucrative for them to allow this to happen.
And I think I think we're seeing that as well. I mean, I think we're seeing some of the moves that the the administration is making right now seem real COINTELPRO-ish,
Yeah.
right? Like it seems like announcing in this week, in the past 2 weeks, when we've had this conversation with Deante, and I don't, Deante is a
He's
big voice,
he's a
but he's not
figurehead right now. When I say Deante, like
right.
he's like Q-tip and Band-Aids. Like he's,
Right, exactly. And I don't know, but I don't disagree that Deante's voice and kind of like what he's representing, I don't know if it's reached up to the levels of the administration yet. I don't know. But I don't think it is. I think it's worth considering that this past week the administration very publicly and unnecessarily commuted the sentences of NBA YoungBoy, the same community and the same
Larry Hoover.
like the same community that would be listening to a Deante, right? Like maybe it's connected, maybe it's not. I don't know.
I don't think it's like a direct
A one for
correlation,
one,
right?
yeah.
But I do believe
Like what?
that I
NBA the fuck YoungBoy? What are we? Who?
and there are people who are and Todd Chrisley.
Oh yeah,
There
right.
are people, or is it Todd Chrisley? I don't know what his name is, but there are people who are swayed by that. They're swayed by that, and
Yeah.
I feel like if Tory Lanez had a federal case, he'd be out.
It's
And he's
yeah.
considering Puffy. Like he's definitely. I think that what he's doing, I think what's being done is behaving as though black men are the weak link.
Yeah. Yes.
That's what he's saying. That's what he's trying to say. And I wish that more people would. People are people aren't saying that outright because the way they're saying it is very like it's derogatory, where it's like black men are the weak link, fuck them, as opposed to why do they think that black men are the weak link? Where's the conversation there?
Right.
And why are we saying it? Why are we saying it enough for somebody who's outside? And then also, he got rid of Job Corps.
Yo, and yeah, Job Corps and City Year. Is that the
Uh,
same thing?
I don't know. I just heard Job Corps.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
see, the echo was gone because my headphones were on and they were. That's what they. Okay, just had to figure it out. But go ahead.
Good. No, yes, and if you think about the trajectory of our conversations in our episodes where we were talking about Tory Lanez and Diddy a few weeks ago, we were talking about all these things. But something you said I think needs to be explored, and I think that I don't think this is controversial. It shouldn't be controversial, but I think that the administration is tapped into the conversations Black people are having. right? We know that all administrations, not just this one. But I think that the administration is tapped in specifically to the power of Black women.
Mm-hmm.
And the Black women are continuously saying that men ain't shit, just loosely, and that we 93%, y'all 80%, right? Like that's the since the election, before the election, we do it on this. We an A, 93 is an A, y'all a B, right? And I've seen this myself. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think that they've tapped into the dialogue that's happening in the Black community, and kind of like the universal vitriol our communities, the Black men and Black women, have against each other, and they're feeding it. And they're feeding it. Like, it's so crazy to me. But when you said they they've heightened, tuned in on Black men being the weak link, I think the conversation for Black men, right, to have amongst each other is, nigga, are we the weak link?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and I think,
Let me snap on that. Yes.
and I don't think there needs to be a Black woman on scene in the picture
I feel like we need to leave.
throwing fuel, like, yeah, nigga, you are the weak link. No, 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 like, no, don't do that.
I wish
Just
I would
let.
start a social network just for y'all to have this conversation, because I really don't think that we're in it. This is
I
not
t-
our conversation to
I'm
have at
telling you,
all.
it's
Talk
not,
about
because you know why? Because when you probably know this on some level, but like, when niggas used to play basketball, this is a wild connection. As you know what I'm saying, like, what am I talking about? In 10th grade, 11th grade was like the height basketball time for any Black man. If you play basketball, you go back basketball, and you might be playing and you're chilling, boom, shooting, having a good time, crossing up, having a good old time. Let a woman come out to that court. It's a whole different game. The game turns into it's more competitive,
and one.
and people try to dunk on you. Like, bro, you're my friend. Why you showing off? We don't have to do this. We was just having a good time.
Yeah.
But when the women show up, and even if the women aren't saying anything, just being there, the game is different now. It turns into something else. And I feel like on some level, a little bit of that is happening here, where just let niggas talk. Like, just let us, we'll challenge each other. But even if the women are watching, or if they chime and be like, yeah, it just turns into something else that takes the emphasis away from this connection that I need to have with my guy. You know what I'm saying? And how it all feeds into the loneliness epidemic, which I feel I am a member of the loneliness epidemic. Right? Like, I can say that. I'm a pretty lonely guy, and I've isolated myself pretty well, right? And I'm working through that. I think I shared on here that I went with my fraternity brothers on our 30th anniversary. We went to Orlando. We had a great weekend. Yes, it took us 8 months to plan it. Yes, we were kind of fumbled into Orlando, and eventually ended up together. But that time that we had together was so important to all of us approaching our 50s, right? It was something that, with no women in sight, with no, like, just the five of us in a house, like the real world. And it was so refreshing just in those 48 hours to not have any woman, like, telling us, like, how to react and feel, and policing our whatever, even if it was toxic in that space, because we knew we could do that and then go home and whatever. I don't know. All of it's related. I do think Black people need to say, like, Black men need to ask each other, are we the weak link? Like, are we? And if not, how are we going to strengthen everybody? Because that's what we're called to do, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I think that what happened, because as you were talking, we're of the same generation. I remember the boys pickup games. I remember, to an extent, like Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts, and I remember when I lived in New York, a guy friend, the poker nights, like these places where they have these conversations with themselves. And I think that for all of us, the community that we think we found online, we're starting to discover doesn't truly exist. Uh, the friendships that the kind of friendships and society and community that we need cannot exist just online. I remember when after the election, somebody said we need to go back to church,
Mm,
and she said not in a religious way, not in the way that we've been conditioned to dislike, but church was our gathering place.
mm,
The church was where the information of how we're going to boycott the buses,
yeah.
that's how it was passed down. The conversations we had amongst ourselves, that's why what happened in Charlotte when that white boy went in and shot, that's why that was so
Charleston,
devastating.
South Carolina.
Charleston,
Yeah.
that's why it was so devastating, because that was our place. That is where black people go in order to feel amongst each other, too welcoming, which is why homeboy came in. But
And he's still alive.
yeah, they gave him Burger King and let him chill for a little bit. Yeah.
I'm
um
sorry.
yeah. Yeah. uh but we've lost our gathering places, and we're trying to recreate that online, but it is impossible because
Mm,
it is not a closed door. Even when people try to create like black focused online places, it doesn't work because it doesn't work online. The
yeah.
conversation can start online, but if we don't take it offline and find a way to do that and just come to like sort of round the troops and then go back and do the work individually, it's just not going to work. And I think that something that I've seen also that I think is connected to all of this is you'll get like a text something, and people will talk about, well, I don't like to be around people, and I'm just fine by myself, and I don't need to talk to people at work, and I don't need to da da da, and why are people saying good morning to me? And it's like these people agreeing, they're agreeing like, yeah, people suck and we should not. I haven't spoken to my sister in 87 years. And the reason is always protecting peace.
Mm,
But protecting peace and running from conflict are two separate things. And I think a lot of people are running from discomfort, and they're running from having to examine their emotions and their behaviors and their response to other people's behavior. We we can't get to a place where we're so conflict adverse that we don't know how to exist with other people. And I think that's what we're running into right now. There are people who just don't know how to exist around actual people, people that you can't block,
right.
people that you can't turn your phone off and not
Run
have to
away from.
communicate with.
Yeah.
Like we've lost the ability to communicate, and we've lost the desire. That's what it is. We've lost the desire to communicate. And I think that that is at the forefront of this, because there was a time when you would move to a new neighborhood or town or state and knew exactly where to go or how
Mm,
to meet other people. You
yep.
knew that if you got on your bike and just rode around long enough, somebody's going to come out their house and ride their bikes with you. You
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
that there's a bar you could go to and sit there, and by the time the bartender knows who you are, like there are places to become locals at. And not having that and then attempting to recreate that online, I think is to our detriment, especially, and I've said this so many times, we need to stop following white people, because white people are not about community the way that we are.
Mm,
And following them into this solitude, and following them into this contained, it's me against the world, and we only come
mm-hmm.
together when we're trying to beat up on some other people. We come collectively to vote against people, but it's just us, me
Yeah.
me us against the world. um that's not who we are.
Yeah.
That's not who we are. And I think that in our DNA is that need for connection. In our DNA is that need for community. And we have gotten to a place where we have convinced ourselves and other that it's not important.
The more you're talking here and the more that I reflect on some of the conversations we've had about like what has really been hurting specifically in the black community, but the community at large, I just can't help but think that COVID was done on
Oh my God.
purpose.
Nigga, COVID,
I think like everything that you're talking about was like, if there was any progress towards getting to that, like
nigga,
COVID
COVID.
derailed all that.
Yeah, even on a personal level, like I'm doing like this right to right program because I started off with the artist way, and then me being who I am, I'm like, oh, there's something better. Oh wait, there's something better than that. And I think that I finally honed in on the thing that's good. But it's the same author, so it's because she keeps mentioning other stuff, and I'm like, oh, what? That makes more sense for me.
It's
What
a
I
book. I want.
actually, yeah, I'm
It's a
gonna send it
book.
to
The
you.
right to write. Okay, yeah, send
There's
it. Send
the
it.
it started with the artist way, and then she has Write for Life, which is
Okay.
about like the discipline of writing. And I was like, okay, yeah, but I don't have the inspiration to write, and that's where her book the right to write comes up. Um, so I'm reading it today, and I'm just like, going through it, and then it just like hit me. The reason why I'm having so much trouble writing is because my writing has always been inspired by people and like the things around me. Like I would go to a cafe or I would go to a park and I'm sitting there and I'm just watching people and I'm listening to people, and that is what inspires me to write.
Mm-hmm.
People. And since COVID, I have been without people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't try. I don't go to Brooklyn for a week or a weekend anymore. I'm not driving into like DC to sit at some. I'm not doing that anymore, and that has severely affected my writing because I don't have that energy that surrounds me because of the way that I write. The kind of writing that I do is about people, and it's about uh uh being able to express emotions through writing or understand things through writing, and that is just not happening anymore. And I think that that goes to the fact that we have convinced ourselves we don't need people because COVID said that people get us sick.
Yeah. Wow.
That
Yeah.
is
Yeah. Yeah.
COVID really, really fucked us up. And and I think that until we get to the heart of that, we're not going to be okay. Because I remember in the heart of it where people were arguing that kids don't need to be in school. They don't
Yes.
need to be around other kids. What? Or 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 like understanding that we needed to be masked up. But then
Mm-hmm.
saying that kids don't need to see smiles or facial expressions, or people don't need to see, you know, don't need to connect the way like that nonverbal communication. We've been taught
Mm-hmm.
that's not important anymore. So now we don't know how to it's just so much that we have traded we've traded human interaction for what we think is safety.
Yes.
And it has
And
made us
peace.
even more unsafe
Yeah.
as far as like spiritually unsafe and
Yeah.
spiritually disconnected. And yeah, COVID definitely did a number on us. And I really want what it's also done. My sister and I talk about this all the time. COVID allowed us to let maladaptive people control the narrative.
Mm.
People who don't want to leave their house anyway,
Yes.
pre-COVID, post-COVID, are
Yes.
now saying this is what
Told
we
you.
need to do.
Told you.
We
Yeah. We should
told
have
you
been doing this the
exactly.
whole time. Yeah.
Exactly. People are
Mm-hmm.
like, "Oh, I don't want to go into work. I can work from home." Of course you can. Yes, absolutely you can.
Yeah.
But you can't keep mocking the people who do want to go into work because it's not
Right.
about them wanting to ruin your life. It's this is where I feel connected. This is
Mhm.
where I meet people. This is where I talk to people. And this whole you just don't like your family. I have a different relationship with my family than I do when I'm outside, when
Right.
I'm with my coworkers, I work better when I'm in an environment where I'm dedicated to that.
Mhm.
And I think that I'm all over the place, but also the rise of the dismissal of extroverts, where all of
Oh
a
man.
sudden extroverts are the worst people in the
The
world.
devil.
They're
Yeah.
needy. They feel entitled to your da 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 da.
Mhm.
And that's because we've let people who use introversion, if that's a term,
It is. Yep.
to
Yep.
to justify their antisocial behavior. And
Being a weirdo.
antisocial has been, I ain't want to say be a weirdo, but these niggas is weird and they want everybody to be weird too to feel
Yeah.
comfortable. And we're
Yeah.
not all weird. We're all different, but we're not all strange. We let maladaptive people take control of the narrative. And
Yeah.
that's the issue that we're running into.
On
And
so many levels,
yeah.
on socially, of course, on social media, but even in my field of education, we're
Mhm.
seeing that is the rise of the voice of like the moms of liberty and all these
Mhm.
extreme parent groups that don't want their kids reading books if it has a black person in it, or don't want their kids to read a book if it has a gay person in it. Like all of that shit is a byproduct of being forced to close down and
Mhm.
being forced to be by ourselves for 2 years straight.
Mhm.
But yeah, I'm glad that the conversation is shifting towards like people connecting and people being outside, and I think that a part of a byproduct of that is the Deante Kyle conversation. This conversation, we said from the beginning when we first started, we wanted our show to be to add nuance to these, these I was going to say bipolar conversations. Is that the right? Is that is that? Can I say that? I can say that.
What are you saying it about? Like, what are you saying?
Like I would say, we wanted our conversations to. There's another word. I'm missing the word, but like these polar extremes, right? That everything was like men, women, and we're at odds, and we want our
Polarization.
polarized.
Pol-
Let's say polarized. And we wanted our conversation to be like, that's a thumbs up again, where we can, provide nuance to these conversations, and provide a space for like a middle ground. But I feel like that we can close on this, but like I don't think what we're doing is providing a middle ground. I feel like what we're doing is providing a space where all of the grounds can be explored,
Mhm, mhm.
right? Like we might land in the middle, but we on one side we might land on the left on some things, and on some things we might be closer to the right, and not politically, but just like on this side of a disagreement. And shows like ours, shows like a lot of the creative spaces that are being explored now, are opening up the space to be okay anywhere in the space,
Yeah.
and to have the safety to be like, damn, I was wrong, or like, oh yeah, I was right, like that's what I thought. I don't know, it's just i I just, I'm glad we have this outlet.
Me too. But I think that what's happening and what needs to continue to happen is the conversation. Like the joke is all, y'all not ready for that conversation. I think we're ready for the conversation, and I think that we have started to move past something that I'm grateful for. We have started to move past the just act like you know and talk from a position of knowing without actually like internalizing and understanding why what you're saying is, as
Yes.
opposed to just parroting or mimicking or mirroring or this is the way it's supposed to be because I heard somebody else say it. Like
Yeah.
walking through it and falling and stumbling and then finally getting to a place where it's not right or wrong, but where you firmly believe that this is what you believe, or
Yeah.
you firmly understand that this is what you understand, as opposed to having to pretend, which I think a lot of us were doing for a long time because we didn't want to be on, not that we didn't want to be on the wrong side of history, but we didn't want to look like we didn't understand And I think that now we're starting to realize the importance of going through each and every step until we might end up the same place, but now we understand what the steps are getting there.
For
Yeah.
sure. For sure.
Can I just say before we close out,
What's that?
this is the first time I've said this in a very long time.
What's that?
I look great. I keep looking at myself. I look fucking amazing. Not
I think
amazing, but I'm like, okay, girl,
no.
you did something today.
I
I look great. I
I
think
agree. I was gonna say. I think
I
this
look
is.
great.
If we want to put this episode out on video, I wouldn't. I think.
I wouldn't be mad about it. I look
Okay.
fantastic.
Excellent. I agree. I think your lighting looks good. I think the head wrap is popping. The glass. I think it's all working. I
Working
love
it,
it. I love
doing
it.
it.
Love it. Love it. Everybody, thanks for listening. Again, like, share, comment, spread the word, let folks know what we got going on over here. Keep finding the truth in the chaos, the clarity in the culture, and the joy in the journey. And we will see you next week.
All right, bye.